You're watching Two Button Crew.
Your daily Nintendo of fandom.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Simeon.
Today we rank all of the Nintendo consoles and systems.
Yes.
From worst to best.
Now, we made our lists separately, but we are in agreement on, like, the first, or I guess the worst. The worst, like, how many
half?
is that? 4? Yeah, like half. So
Almost.
we're going to go through the first half together, and then we'll split up from there.
Alright, we agree that the Virtual Boy is Nintendo's largest failure.
Yes.
Although we both got to play it.
We both played it.
And it's still not, like, a bad thing. I wouldn't mind having one, and I had some enjoyment out of it. So from here on out, these things aren't necessarily bad. They're just not the best.
Nintendo's best.
Right.
Yeah. Game Boy Game Boy and Game Boy Pocket, pretty much the same system, played the same games. They were fun, and it was good. It revolutionized gaming for its time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what we based our rankings off of is how well does it hold up? Is that true?
I tried to incorporate everything into my rankings. Like, you had to consider the library. But yeah, I think holding up is a good point. And I don't think that Game Boy and Game Boy Color games really hold up or live on. They're not really in the sentiment of nostalgia for Nintendo fans these days as much as the home consoles are.
You're not going to see somebody going back and playing a Game Boy game unless it's Pokemon or Tetris.
That's the exception.
And even those games, they have better renditions that are out now.
Right. And then the handhelds just kind of slowly got better for each major iteration. So next we have the Game Boy Color. Yep.
And it brought it into color, and that was really cool. The first time I saw it, I was like, whoa, it's in color.
Those games are go-backable, and it's very hard to go back to a monochrome game these days.
Indeed.
Except for, they've changed the name, but there's an indie game that's like, it starts out as color, and you're trying to restore the color and stuff. It's like,
You mean it starts out at monochrome?
Yeah. It's called Two Brothers. And it's been in development for like 4 years, and it keeps getting delayed. I've been really watching that game.
Next is Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Advance SP. And I'm guessing Game Boy Micro is in here as well. We didn't throw that in because I mean it's the same thing.
Yep.
It just got better, but once again, it doesn't have those standout titles. I mean, it has stuff like Golden Sun. Once again, the Pokemon games, but like other than that, we just got better stuff in the consoles.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be as much going back to my Game Boy Advance stuff as I will my console things.
Next, I'm going to put the Nintendo 64. It was my main console for a long time growing up, but looking back at it, I think it just had not a very good controller, not the best library. I mean, I wasn't there to appreciate the huge shift to 3D. To me now, those games seem very sharp and polygonal and not that great looking. So that's what I think.
We just this last weekend went back and played the Virtual Console version of Smash Bros. On Nintendo 64. And it was kind of painful to the eyes, but still a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was crisper than I thought. I think the TV helps.
Yeah.
Because back then we were playing on, the
nasty
fuzzier tube
fuzz
TVs.
TV.
Yep. It's not a fuzz, Simeon. It's a flying animal.
Yeah.
There. Blew it away.
That we have some fuzzes and some flies. So if you see us go like this, we're just swatting something that is there that you may or may not be able to see. My next one is GameCube. Still a great system, great controller, fantastic controller. It does have a good library of games. I just don't think that these games have aged as well as some of the other games. Some of them definitely have Star Fox Assault, Custom Robo.
Yeah.
Other ones, it's just not as strong as some of the other consoles that they have, and I don't think it was as revolutionary either. So
yeah,
good stuff, but once again, I think there's better.
All right, coming in at about the middle of my list is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Nothing wrong with this console, but I think that 16 bits just wasn't a huge leap over 8-bit, and sure, it had A Link to the Past and Super Metroid and Super Mario World. But I do like my following consoles better.
Okay, we'll see about that. Next, I have the Wii U.
So you're putting Nintendo 64 above the Wii U.
I am. We'll get to my reasoning then. But that one was one that was difficult for me to put as high as I did the N64. But for now, Wii U, it was good. We remembered it fondly.
We sang to it.
We sang to it. Oh, Wii U boy. But I don't know. To me, when I look back at this, I'm like, they're really fun games, and I'm going to enjoy them. I'm probably going to enjoy them a long time. Pokémon's really good. But the number of titles that are standout is just so small. And the gamepad, it was great. Nintendo Land was great. But I'm not going to look at the gamepad and say that is the best controller that Nintendo has made.
Okay.
It was so gimmicky and just I don't think it's going to have that lasting memory like some of the other consoles do.
If you had to pick one console to keep for the rest of your life on an island or whatever, probably wouldn't be Wii U just for sheer library size.
Yep.
Compared to the other ones. All right, next I'm going to put the NES, which might be surprising based on how fondly I talk about it. But I think it was just an amazing first step for Nintendo. Of course, a lot of improvements had to follow, but it had few issues. It had few stinkers, like Ice Climbers and stuff. Most of the games are very good, still hold up to this day, and are really enjoyable. As evidenced by the fact that Nintendo can keep selling them without any kind of cross-buy system or anything like that.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Next, I have the DS family, the DS, DS Lite, DSi.
As do I, so let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's good. It was way more of a step up from the Game Boy Advance than the Game Boy Advance was from the others, because it felt more like an actual console. Yeah. Like, the games actually felt like, this is significant. Like, I'm buying a console quality game on a handheld.
It did huge things for multiplayer as well. It introduced online capability and download play.
Yeah, that's
download
huge.
Play was amazing.
Huge.
No cables, no linking, nothing like that. It was very easy to get into games, whatever you wanted to play with whoever you were with. So I think this was an amazing step for handheld. They were definitely right in going away from the Game Boy naming system and doing something different. And I think the main thing that this thing missed was like some sort of analog, you know?
Yeah.
They had to try to fake it with like stylus and Metroid Prime Hunters, or remember the strap for Super Mario 64 DS. I told you about the strap.
Oh yeah.
That had a thumb pressure thing.
That's so weird.
It didn't work too well.
That's so weird.
But in most cases, the DS was great. So go ahead and move on to your next one.
The 3DS. It just took it up a notch. I don't like the 3D. But that doesn't mean that the games don't look better, because they look a whole lot better than they do on DS.
Yeah.
And the games are bigger, they're better library, better system, has the analog stick, which is fantastic. So it just got better. It just did.
All right, after DS, DS Lite, and DSi for me is the GameCube. Thought this was a great console. It's up there towards the top, and there was nothing too crazy about it, which was cool. It lived or died on its games, and I think it lived really well based on its library. We had just some great departures from series on this console. Luigi got his own game. The Mario games were mixed up with Flood and Sunshine. And then Metroid went first person. That was amazing.
Huge.
We got 2 games in that series. And then Super Smash Bros. Melee, the most popular GameCube game, still to this day, still played. So I think the GameCube was very strong, very solid, and it let Nintendo focus just on making their games great, not having to implement anything weird from their controllers into the game, which is why I'm hoping that the NX is similar to the GameCube, and you can read about that on our blog.
Indeed.
twobuttoncrew.com/blog.
Check it out. Go. We have content every day of the week, people, not just weekdays, not just streaming on Saturdays. We got Sundays covered too.
That's right.
Check out the blog.